So let's keep going. As I'm looking at these, directions I think are a little bit different. This one just says find the max or min, find the domain, find the range. So the first thing I want to do is figure out am I in standard form or vertex form? And the answer is vertex form, which is brilliant because then I know next to the max or min, I'm just going to write the point. And so let's see. The maximum is at 3.8. How do I know that? Because in this form, it's just right there. That x is always the opposite because the original form was x minus h. So really what that means, when it's asking me to find the maximum or minimum, kind of depending on the context, oftentimes it's okay to just say the maximum or minimum. This one happens to be at 3.8. Sometimes they're kind of inferring a different question, and in that case, you would say the maximum is at, I'm saying it's a maximum, and you're like, how do you know it's a maximum? We'll get there in a second. But the maximum is at 8 when x equals 3. But for right now, I'm okay if you just put the point there that you see that it's a maximum. I know it's a maximum if you're like, how do I know? Well, how do I know? Because I looked at the leading coefficient, that a right there is -2. So that means it's going to look like that. So let's figure out, I'm going to put in my 3.8, so over 3 up 8, that's right here. And then I need to find some other points. So something that's oftentimes super easy to find the x-intercept, set y equal to 0. So if I set the opposite equal to 0, well then, let's see what would happen if I did that. So then I would have -2 times 0 minus 3 all squared plus 8. Okay, so 0 minus 3, -3 squared is 9 times -2, -18 plus 8, that's -10. Well, that's kind of a nice spot. So 0, -10. Then I'm going to go back and draw in my axis of symmetry. Why am I going to do that? Well, the reason that I'm going to do that is because even though it didn't ask, if I have the axis of symmetry, then now I know another point. Because this was, let's see, my axis of symmetry is at x equals 3. This is 3 off, so then I can go 3 the other way. How do I know that? Because the axis of symmetry is like a mirror line, and so I can pop things to the other side. And now, let's see. I don't really see how to find the y-intercept. That's set x equal to 0, but that's not really all that nice. I mean, not too bad. But how about if I just pick x equals 1? If you're like, why would you pick x equals 1? Because it's between the line of symmetry and the other line. And so I'm just picking that because it's good for me and I can. So then I have -2 times 1 minus 3 all squared plus 8. 1 minus 3 is -2. -2 squared is 4. 4 times -2 is -8. Plus 8 is 0. Ah, that's convenient. Okay, so over 1, 0. And if I have that, then I have another 0 right here. And so now, there we go. I have my graph. How did I know to graph it? Because there's graph paper. Okay, now, that really helps me with my domain. Which way does my domain go? Yep, hopefully you just moved your arms like that. So my domain, everything works. So -infinity to +infinity. On a quadratic, that's always going to be true. Your domain just will always be -infinity to +infinity. Then your range, well, since it's facing down, I start at the bottom, like down forever. And the number for down forever is -infinity. And then I go until I hit the top, my maximum, which we said was 8. And then I have to decide, does it include the 8? Yes. So there it is. I've done everything it's asked for me. So let's check the next one. Well, first of all, I know it's quadratic, so it's going to be a parabola. And it's in standard form, not vertex form. And then I can look, does it open up? Does it open down? I know it's going to open up because it's a positive out front. All right, so it's going to therefore have a minimum, and gosh, what are some of the things that I can do? Well, if I look at this, I see that I can easily factor this. And you might say, but it tells you to find the vertex first. Okay, you go and find the vertex first. I just am excited that I see something I know how to do, so I'm going to go for it. And so I see that can factor into x minus 1, x minus 1. So if that's the case, I've got a 0 at 1. Twice. Have we talked about this yet? That means there's a multiplicity in the 0, which is 1, and that means there's a bounce there. So if we haven't talked about that yet, that's totally fine. Just know that that's actually going to be my minimum. So what is the minimum? Well, let's graph a couple of other points just so that you can see that I could know that for sure. So that's not what I wanted to do. Let's see. We already found the x-intercept, so to find the y-intercept, set x equal to 0. Well, if I set x equal to 0 and plug that in up top, 0 squared is 0 minus 2 times 0 is 0 plus 1. Okay, so 0, 1. No, that's not there. 0, 1 is right here. Okay, so let's try plugging 2 in, and I'll show you that we've already found the vertex. I'm going to plug in 2. So 2 squared is 4, minus 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1. Oh look, that's 1 as well. Okay, so here it is. So I can see now that I have a parabola. In this case, I'm not going to graph 5 points because I know that it's opening up, and all it's really asking of me is to find the minimum, find the domain, find the range. So the minimum now we know is at over 1 up 0, so 1, 0. My domain is always negative infinity to positive infinity. And then my range, well, this time it starts at 0 and goes up forever. So I've got 0, and I just did something wrong. Did you see it? What did I do wrong? Yeah, the 0 is included. So I'm going to change that because I've got to box it because the 0 is included. All right, let's do one more on here, and then we'll save the rest for another video. So graph that up there. It says y plus 2 equals x plus 5 all squared. Now, if I want to get it into a form that I like, I'm going to rewrite that, and I'm going to rewrite it as y equals x plus 5 all squared minus 2. Figure out why did I do minus 2. Okay, if that's the case, then this is beautiful. I know that my max or min is going to be at negative 5, negative 2. And is it a max or min? It's a min because up front there's nothing, which means there's a 1 out front, so it just opens like that. Well, if that's the case, I know negative 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down 2. There we go. Now, in this case, because you know a lot about how to graph things, do you notice that there's no stretch in front? There's not. So that means, like in the mother function, your next point would be 1, 1. Well, therefore, I'm going to go from here, pretend this is 0, 0, and now make the 1, 1, and the negative 1, 1. And then the over 2 up, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I could even do over 3 up 9. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Beaver, how can you do that? Because you just did a whole unit on graphing stuff by moving. So if that's hard for you, plot some points and figure it out. All right, find the domain. Domain is always negative infinity to positive infinity. And then find the range. Well, it's opening up, so it starts at negative 2 and goes up forever. So there you go. We'll have one more video that will do the rest of these, and hopefully that is really helpful.